I'm just going to make it a habit from here on out. Just to record. We're not going to say a word until it's being documented. All right?
Right.
Welcome in. We've got baseball behind us for the first time on ACC Baseball, etc. I'm Darren Vaught. Danny Graves is with me, the former big leaguer, former Miami Hurricanes pitcher, Team USA member. He's got all kinds of accolades. A Reds Hall of Famer, too, right? I mean, you are in halls of fame, including them in Miami. So a bona fide star on the other screen with me.
I tricked him, Darren. They let me in.
Well, it feels good to finally, again, have some games behind us. Even before we recorded last time, you and I had talked about doing this show for a number of weeks, and it was like, okay, winter game's going to finally get here. We've got someone who feels the same way who's going to join us here shortly. How about Nick Kurtz, who had a massive weekend for Wake Forest? They played 4 games, Danny. He hit 4 bombs. He walked 7 times. It's a small sample size, I know, but it's a jarring number when you see that his OPS on the weekend was like 2,200, like 2.200. He had a big weekend to get the season started for the number 6 Demon Deacons. A success league-wide, really, right? Nobody – we got the D1 baseball top 25 rankings new for this week after the weekend of play. And the same 7 ACC teams that were in it before stay in it in their exact same spots. So mission accomplished for all the ACC teams hoping to contend this season. And that stands to reason, right? These weekends are typically played against lower level non-conference teams. From your perspective, what is there to gain or glean from these games at all?
Well, I think the fact that you get to play real baseball is what you look at. And, I have friends that talk about preseason NFL and they call it fake football because it's like the real players just play maybe a couple snaps and that's it. So working up to the regular season, it's almost the same thing. It's like it's fake baseball where everybody's just trying to stay healthy. Everybody's getting the pitches in, they're getting their swings in. And now you have to go play a real game where you actually have adrenaline. You actually have competitiveness, like real competitiveness, not like just competing against your teammate. It's competing against somebody else, and they're meaningful games. And, to me, it doesn't matter who you play. You're on a schedule. It's a Division I team. You're on the schedule because they're decent enough to be on your schedule. Yes, some teams aren't nearly as good as the teams in the ACC, but that's how those teams get better too. You have to play to get better. And yes, they do play a lot of the northern teams that aren't able to get out. But still, man, it's like you see real pitching. You have real umpires. You have like real actually trying to get people out. And not saying, okay, let's do that one again. Let's do that one again. There's no do-overs. And so that's what I love about the first series. It doesn't matter who you play. And, when you mentioned like how Nick Kurtz just went off in a small sample size, he easily could have gone 0 for 20, right? But he didn't. Yeah. He raked. He walked a lot. So, I mean, just to get back to real baseball is so exciting for them, I'm sure, but for us too.
Yeah, and it's not – there's a middle ground, right? It's not that it means nothing, but it doesn't mean everything, right? Just because Nick had the weekend that he had doesn't mean he's automatically going to win the Golden Spikes and be the best player all year in college baseball, because you're right in that some guys with big expectations didn't fare too well this weekend. And that's baseball, right? I mean, you look at Gino Groover for NC State. We know he's a good player. We know he's going to have a good year. He had one hit in their 3-game series, committed an error as well. So like not the best start, but it's a long year, right? So I think there's plenty to take away, but there's also the constant reminders that it's a long year.
Yeah. Talking about Nick Kurtz, his teammate Bombzilla Brock Wilken was 2 for 12 in the first series and 2 home runs. Yes, but that's not the real Brock Wilken. But I promise you at the end of the season, he will be right where he needs to be. And I think a lot of the teams will say this is a starting point, but we're more worried about where we are at the end of the season.
Yeah. Let's hand out some flowers, right?
Yeah.
Anything that stood out to you? What impressed you the most? Just off the top of your head, go.
Well, Wake Forest scoring 45 runs in the first 4 games. They hit 13 home runs in the first 4 games. And I tried to look. I don't know how accurate this is. I didn't get to finish, but most of the teams hit, like, I think maybe 5 or 6 at the most. And granted, this was an extra game. They played 4 games, but still, that's 13 homers.
Yeah,
that's a lot of bombs. NC State outscored their opponent this weekend 26-3. They gave up 3 runs.
Yeah,
I mean, ridiculous. So the biggest thing, though, Daron, is out of the 14 teams in the ACC, 7 of them swept their opponents. 7 of them undefeated still.
Yeah,
that's pretty impressive.
It is. And again, it's delivering in this first week when you don't necessarily need to, because you've got the entire season ahead of you. But if you're prepared to, might as well start playing and executing at your best right now, or something close to your best. And even the teams that didn't sweep, there were some bounce backs, right? Miami won the series on Sunday with a walk-off home run. Your guy, CJ Kafis, responsible for that. We saw game 1 losses for both North Carolina and Virginia Tech against Seton Hall and College of Charleston, respectively. They came back, got games 2 and 3, and they got series wins out of the first weekend. So it's a testament to the good teams when you can sort of steady the waters, right? And make the weekend right after a less successful Friday.
Let me tell you that CJ Kafis walking off Penn State yesterday, if that doesn't happen, it's a totally different atmosphere in Coral Gables today. They play Tuesday against FIU at home. Today's practice, or whatever they do in workout, is going to be completely different if they would have lost that game and lost the series yesterday. So that was huge for them. Kind of felt bad for Penn State. The head coach, Rob Cooper, great friend of mine. He was a teammate of mine at Miami. I think this is the only time ever in my life that I was okay if Miami didn't win. just I felt bad for Rob Cooper. He's such a good dude, great coach. But listen, at the end of the day, our guy CJ Kafis came through in the clutch.
Yeah, he did. And you know what? I made a note watching another game from the weekend. We talked about the year-to-year jumps last week, and we mentioned some players that we think would improve the most from last season to this season. We talked about a teammate of the guy I'm about to mention. We talked a lot about Vance Honeycutt, which it seems unreal that he's going to inevitably get better, right?
Yeah.
I think I overlooked someone I like a lot as a player and really started to figure it out toward the end of last year. He hit a home run over the weekend from North Carolina, and that's Mac Horvath.
Yeah.
He put it together in a way from beginning of the season last year to the end of the season that made it clear. It manifested, okay, this is why this guy's here. He could have easily gone and played pro ball right out of high school, but now he's in his he's into his seasoned career now with North Carolina. He's been there a few years, and I think he's primed to have a pretty big year for them.
Yeah, so that's funny you mentioned that because, first of all, surprised that Honeycutt didn't hit a homer in the first 3 games. Bench him right now.
Move him down to the 9 hole.
Yeah, he only struck out once though, and he had 3 stolen bases. So he still does what he needs to do, even though he doesn't homers. But I can remember, and I don't know the exact numbers, but I can remember last year, if you took Honeycutt out of the lineup, Mac Horvath was probably one of the guys that was continuing to keep this team going because he quietly was just putting up great numbers and quietly hitting the homers, quietly driving in RBI. This guy, is obviously behind the shadow of Honeycutt, but he's a great player, man. He's really good.
Yeah, and they've got a number of good bats. Again, they're. It's funny. I was texting a little bit with Roddy Jones of SEC Network, and he and I were sort of talking through the league, and he knew that I was high on Miami. He was sort of laughing at the notion that we both were like, okay, Miami is our team to make it.
Oh, dude, he called me a homer. He had to have called me a homer.
No, he laid off there. I told him I was worried about being blamed for trying to pander to a co-host or something like that. But we talk in the lead up to a year pretty frequently about stuff like that, and we were just joking with one another over the weekend. We're like, man, I could talk myself into half of the league. You mentioned the 7 teams that swept.
Yeah.
There's an argument to be made. Any of those 7, it's like, okay, they're the best in the conference. They're going to go to Omaha if anybody is.
There's you can look at the series for every team and say, okay, well, here's why Virginia is going to get to Omaha. Here's why Louisville is going to get to Omaha. Here's why NC State is that good again and going to get to Omaha. Louisville, there's so many teams, and Wake Forest we didn't even mention. There's so many teams that are really, really good in this conference. And Virginia Tech, yes, they came back and they won the last 2 games, but I don't even think we've seen how good they are. And again, it's the first week of the season, but they're this whole conference. I can't even tell you like how exciting this is. So we can just shove it all into the SEC guys and say, what? Who's the big brother now? That's what I want to do.
You mentioned last week Florida State as a team that you thought was gonna have some success and bounce back. They got a sweep in their series as well, 3 wins in 3 games. I've got to give a shout out while we're on Florida State though to freshman Titan Kamaka.
What a name!
Excellent baseball name, right? So you get flowers for that. I'm going to give you a whole bouquet though because Kamaka came up for his first career collegiate at bat. Yeah. Late in the game, it was garbage time, using my air quotes, if you will. But late in the game, still a collegiate at bat, to your earlier point. Mm-hmm. And he hits a bomb. Home run in his first collegiate at bat with a name like Titan Kamaka. Yeah. Are we ready to put him in an ACC Hall of Fame now or what?
Well, he didn't ask to be put into the garbage game at this time. He just goes and plays when he's told to go play. And when Leek Jarrett says, okay, this is your turn, kid, then that's when he gets out there. And I wonder how many quotes have been put out there about him. Remember the day that they pitched to Titan. Remember the Titans, all this. Dude, I'm getting chills right now. Remember the Titans. This is this kid. Are we ready to put him in the Hall of Fame? Well, if he shuts down his career right now, he's got pretty good numbers, right? But,
small sample size, just
small sample size. Hey, it is what it is. But at the end of the day, if he doesn't get another at bat the rest of the year, he'll go down in history, right?
Yeah. How about this? Do you recall your first outing as a Miami Hurricane? First time your name was called for your collegiate career. How did that go?
Oh my gosh, I knew you were going to say that at some point. And I wish I could remember who it was against. I don't. But I was just so happy to be part of the team because when I got there as a freshman, we had 18 pitchers. And I didn't realize that at that time they were just recruiting everybody. They just brought so many guys in. There's so many guys that were local that they brought on the team that weren't on scholarship, but they brought them in, and if they were good, then they were going to end up getting a scholarship. And so initially the plan was that I was going to get redshirted. And I told my parents, if I'm getting redshirted, I'm leaving. I'm not going to stay here to get redshirted, And I'm like, not being cocky, but I wanted to play, dude. I didn't want to sit there and watch. And so it ended up I had a pretty good fall. And then, like I said, I don't remember exactly when I came in, but I wasn't like nervous. I felt like I had something to prove because I was just a little chubby kid. I pitched with glasses back then. I didn't have contacts yet. I pitched with glasses, and like I just felt like I had to prove something to these guys that they made the right choice of letting me stay, let me be a part of this. So I do know that I got a save as a freshman in the College World Series, and man, that was the coolest thing ever. That was so cool. And Ron Frazier, see here's my ADD. I'm getting all over the place now. Ron Frazier came out to the mound. We were playing Cal State Fullerton. He took whoever was out and he brought me in to close the game. Like it was like the 8th inning. I came in with guys on base, and I'm like, this is really cool. He told me this is the reason we recruited you and brought you to Miami. I'm like, it is? we're here. Yeah, we're here in Omaha. And maybe I was just too dumb and young and didn't understand the moment. But I ended up going at 1 1/3 innings, a couple punch outs. Charles Johnson was the catcher. And we had this little handshake, the Shooter McGavin handshake. And it was so cool. It was so cool. But I remember doing my interview, and I said, this is what Coach Frazier told me. And then I felt like I belonged, just really cool, man. Really cool moment.
That is cool. Prior to that, anything less successful? Did you have like a welcome to Division I college baseball moment that you recall?
Yeah. Before the season even started, we got in trouble down there during the fall. We were doing some stuff we shouldn't have been doing. we were, I remember this like it was yesterday, Daron. This is the good thing. This is why you got me, because I can talk and talk and talk. Story time. So we were playing the football team was playing University of Houston. This is when David Klingler was still their quarterback, and he was the big time NFL prospect. So everybody on our team, on the baseball team, went except for me and 3 other guys. We didn't feel like going, so we just sat around and we got bored. So we got eggs and started throwing eggs at cars, and the police came and said they told Coach Frazier. So we go the next day to Coach Frazier's office, and he just calmly says, well, guys, you really shouldn't be doing that. So maybe you'll just have to meet one of the other coaches here at like 5 a.m. and do a little bit of running for us. Breakfast club. I had breakfast club for a week. That was my first college moment. Like, oh my gosh, I have to do what they tell me to now. So that was definitely a miserable time, but I grew immediately. I matured immediately after that. No more egg throwing.
That's great. Hitting your spots, presumably, with the eggs, of course.
Every
just
one
peppering.
of them.
Yeah, just peppering.
I'm not proud to say that I did that, but I did it. Can't change it.
Can't change it. Kids, right? You're just a kid. That's all right.
Yeah.
But you grew from it, and look what happened, right?
Yeah.
You blossomed into a major league closer with a long, successful run there. And you're pretty good at talking too, right? As is evident by the this show, and then the many others you do on ACC Network. So, no, that's great. Anything else from the ACC weekend that jumps out to you? Did anything catch you by surprise? Because I think what we've talked about so far, it's like, okay, players and teams that we expected to take care of business took care of business. Was there anything on the other side of that?
Well, not to knock Georgia Tech, but I didn't realize that because they struggled a lot pitching wise last year, obviously, and not that they pitched great this series, but they pitched good enough to win. Last year, when they were pitching decent enough, they couldn't win. So this weekend, I don't even remember who they played, but 3-0. That's a pretty good start for a team that is generally a powerhouse in the country. Georgia Tech has always had a great baseball program, and I know the last few years they've struggled with pitching, but they were able to come out 3-0, and that, I guess I shouldn't say shocked. I just didn't expect that. I wasn't expecting them. Yeah, go out and win the series, but they started off 3-0. They're just another one of the teams that started out undefeated. So it's a good sign for them. Good sign of things to come. I do wish that CC Sabathia's kid would have got more at bats, but I mean, I sent a message to CC. I'm like, what's going on there at Georgia Tech? Your kid only gets 1 at bat this weekend. So he walks and he scores a run. He's like, yeah, man, I wanted to say something, but my kid told me to chill out. So
that's Karsten too.
Yeah.
I saw a little bit of Karsten when he was with he was at training camp for the 18U national team here in Cary for the USA Baseball squad at the training complex. And then he participated in the PDP league as well. So I called some of those games there. He's a talented dude. Georgia Tech's got a good one. And obviously the pedigree's there with his dad, CC. Now I think I was thinking along the same lines as you when it comes to Georgia Tech. It was Miami of Ohio, by the way. They hosted the Red Hawks. They won all 3 games. They did, the pitching did get touched up, right? Game 1 was 15-12. They won 5-4 in game 2 to secure the series, and then a big blowout 16-8 on Sunday to get the sweep. Look, we talk about so many good teams in this league, Danny. At some point, it becomes, all right, well, the losses have to go somewhere, because here pretty soon the teams are just going to be playing each other in the ACC, right? It's not all non-conference play. So there's got to be losses somewhere. And you start to assess the rosters. And look, I like Stephen Reed and Drew Compton, the Bash brothers, as I refer to them for Georgia Tech. I think, they are as good of power hitters as there are in this league. There's some other pieces with Georgia Tech's team that I like, but given their struggles pitching and just sort of the uncertainty there, in my mind, I began this year thinking, okay, they're probably going to be on the short end of the stick in a lot of games and series, not because they're not capable, but just because, again, somebody's got to lose, and the other ACC teams are really good. So I was encouraged by their start as well, albeit giving up a lot of runs on the way to a 3-0 weekend. It's a good start for them. So hopefully they can put together some good weekends once ACC play gets here and make it a little bit more difficult for the teams that we think are going to be the best.
Right. Well, if you want to look for some positives in their pitching staff, you could say that the back end of the bullpen, when they had to hold the lead, they did, and that's crucial. But like you said, somebody has to lose. So when you're playing other teams, like Florida State gave up a bunch of runs too this weekend, but they came out 3-0. So this Georgia Tech against Florida State, it might be 22-20. We're going to see some bombzillas. We're going to see some runs scored, but then it also could be 1-0. That's just baseball. But yeah, I think at the end of the day, regardless of what your numbers are after that series, we're still 3-0, baby. It is what it is. You play the game to win, right? It's about wins and losses at the end of the season. So they got 3 wins and no losses right now. They should be happy about that.
Yeah. I've got one more highlight to offer from the weekend. We talked about the animal Andrew Walters. We're throwing stuff, nicknames and stuff. We're going to throw them at the wall, see what sticks. All right?
We have to. Yes.
So the animal Andrew Walters, which may not be next week. Andrew's the closer for Miami on their way to a series win. Through through 2 innings, faced 6 batters, or 7 batters rather. He gave up a hit, but 2 scoreless innings, and he struck out 5 of the 6. Yeah. It's just more of dudes being dudes like we expected. So a good start to the season for him, and I know we both think highly of him, just as a former Miami closer to the other Miami closer. Good start on the season for him.
I'm shocked that he gave up a hit. I feel like he didn't give up a hit last year until midseason.
Right.
So, the thing with him, I know he got drafted very, very late last year, which was bizarre to me. People did not watch him close enough because he's your prototypical professional bullpen guy. Like, he's got the body type, he's got the mentality, he's got the arm angle. Not to mention the stuff. His stuff is ridiculous, but I'm so glad he came back, because now he has a chance to just continue to get better and continue to up his stock, but also help an ACC team get to Omaha and win a championship. But I didn't realize that his brother was there. So he came in for his brother yesterday in the 8th inning. Yeah. His brother's got good stuff too. Not nasty, but he throws pretty hard. And that inning that he came in, Darren, I think 2 guys were on base. He first pitch, the guy grounds out. Then 7 pitches later, his inning's over with some punch outs.
Yep.
Like,
that's
that simple.
It goes a long way, right? Yeah. Like if you're struggling to get through a weekend for whatever reason, which again, it's a long year and that's going to happen for even the best of teams. If you're struggling to get through it and you need 3 outs, and you're in a pinch, in a bind, you want to get out of it with as much of the other team's efforts mitigated as possible. That's That's a good start. Is having an Andrew Walters.
Yeah, and I got to ask Gino this at some point. You're bringing in the young Walters in a 2-1 ball game in the 8th inning. To me, that's because he knew he had the insurance of his brother to be able to throw multiple innings because he hadn't thrown really. So now he's got the fresh arm. Any trouble, we're bringing him in. We're going to shut it down, and that's exactly what happened. So
there's a second.
I was just thinking.
Yeah, I'd like to talk to the Walters brothers about that. There's a psychological element there, right?
Yeah. I mean, with the young Walters, it's like, okay, I'm definitely trying to get these guys out, but if it doesn't work, Big Brother's going to pick me up. So,
but also, you don't want him to have to, right?
You don't want him to have to, but he's got your back, man. That's my bro. He's got me. Yeah, and how about, I don't know the kid's name, from Penn State, a left-handed hitter, came off the bench, first at bat of the season, sitting there for 3 hours. Good luck, kid. Good luck. Go try to hit Andrew Walters right now.
Right.
3 pitches down. It was like, it wasn't even fair, man. It wasn't fair at all.
Tough look. You felt bad for him.
Yeah.
For sure. All right. Did we miss anything from the opening weekend? You know what? We talked about this. Of the teams sort of most or best positioned to compete on a big level this year. So we talk about those 7 that are in the preseason rankings and now on into the week 1 rankings. I saw Georgia Tech has a number 23 ranking by one of the polls, Collegiate Baseball, I think. They bounced up. So there's talk outside of those 7. I wanted to give credit to UVA, Virginia.
Yeah.
They seemed to be the only one in that group that went on the road. The northern teams, of course, played elsewhere, right? Pitt was down in Sarasota, BC in Malibu. But Virginia went to Wilmington, North Carolina, and played some games, including against what I think is going to be a pretty good mid-major team in UNC Wilmington, and had a good, productive weekend. So, I mean, props to the Cavaliers for starting their season on the road.
Yeah, and of course, we know what Geloff and Kyle Teal are going to do. They're both going to have great years. But I listened to an interview from Coach O'Connor, and the biggest thing that he took away from the series was their defense. They made one error all weekend, and you're going to win a lot of ball games if you catch it and you throw it. Especially with that offense that they have. And that's exactly what they did. Like I said earlier, they gave it 3 runs the whole series. So you pitch and play some defense with those hitters, you're going to win majority of your games. That's just, that's just how it is. So defense is huge. And he was very impressed with that. And I am too. I love teams that play great defense.
Yeah. They got a big first career start for them out of another O'Connor, Jack, who pitched for them. And, the defense, it's just like they lose Nate Savino. He's their ace, but somehow the pitching and defense just always seems to be a priority there. Like they always just seem to make it happen that way in Virginia. So like when you can hit, it's all the better when you got guys like Teal and Geloff and
Casey Salke that I think people don't talk about enough. The kid is quietly a stud. I mean, he's just a sophomore this year. Already had a great weekend. 5 for 13. Got himself a homer. Great defensive outfielder. They got a lot of good things happening there. Obviously. Yeah,
a lot of good pieces. A lot of good pieces with Virginia. So business as usual through one weekend of ACC play. I think that's safe to say. Still a lot. Nothing's changed. Still a lot to look forward to. We just now have a couple of things to look back at. All right, well, let's get to our first guest in ACC baseball, et cetera, history. See, we're that new. I can't even, the name of the show does not just roll off the tip of my tongue. We're that new. The very first interview in the history of ACC baseball, et cetera. We welcome in Nick. We don't have a player of the week award, but if we had one, just being honest, you'd probably get it. Nick Kurtz of Wake Forest baseball, a big 4-0 weekend for the Deacs. Nick, thanks for joining us, man. Happy to have you. I know you're excited to have the season underway now, finally, right? Sort of a long wait for you.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. I'm excited.
So I mentioned the long wait. You ended last year with the shoulder labrum issue, had it surgically repaired. You didn't have a summer really of baseball as a result, so it's been a lot of rehab. I know you started hitting not until like January. You were sort of full bore, getting swings in. You had to be anxious to finally get the season underway. How did it feel?
Oh yeah, super anxious. I mean, it was almost 8 months before I saw another live at bat. So, I mean, you count down the days to that opening day, and it's a good start for sure for the Deacs, and we're excited for what's coming next.
Nick, you hid that injury pretty well last year. You still hit like 380, so I guess it was you were able to play through it. Obviously, I didn't even realize you were hurt until Daron said something about you having surgery. But do you feel like that has made you even a better and stronger player than you were last year?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I feel like any type of adversity you face is going to make you stronger on the other side for sure. And good thing is it didn't really bother me too much hitting last year at all. So it was just more in the field where I felt a little bit more. But just after the last game last year, just waiting every single day for this past weekend.
So aside from the excitement, Nick, obviously it's a big weekend for you. 4 home runs in 4 games. 7 walks to go with it. So nothing wrong with your eyes, right? What was the weekend like for you, aside from sort of the emotional aspect and just getting in the box and seeing live pitches again?
I mean, it's just a whole lot of fun. I mean, winning's fun. Winning's really fun. And when you can start off the way we did, I mean, it doesn't get much better than that. Just, this team's something special, and to go get out there all against finally facing someone different than your actually own teammates is very exciting and very fun for sure.
So I saw the social media page for Wake Forest, and they called you Nicky Nukes or Nicky Nuke. Are you okay with that?
Yeah, anything they want to call me, that's good.
Okay, yeah. Because we need to promote that. I think that is so legit. That's such a cool little saying for you, Nicky Nukes. So I don't know. Tell me, I know that you hit some bombs last year. You hit for a high average. What do you consider yourself more? Gap to gap hitter? Or are you a power hitter? What in your opinion are you?
I feel like I'd say I'm more like a gap to gap hitter. I mean, that's at least my approach at the plate. I'd say is stay gap to gap, but with anytime you put a barrel on the ball, it's got a chance to go over the fence. So just for me and my approach, just putting the barrel on the ball, basically, just hit it where it's pitched.
Nicky Nukes is one. Danny, I like personally, because they played at 8:30 a.m. On Sunday for their series. I like Wake and Rake as a hashtag, that sort of thing.
But that's for the whole team. We're just specifically talking about Nicky Nukes here, right?
There's a lot of marketability in what you guys are doing, Nick, I think is what we're trying to say.
Yeah.
With that being said, preseason rankings way up there. By most accounts, you guys were the top ranked ACC team entering the season. I don't think anything moved in the D1 baseball rankings either, so that would still be the case moving into your second week of play. How do you guys view or talk about the expectations, just knowing that it's obviously you go out every weekend trying to win as many games as possible, but it's not always being talked about from the outside the way that it has in the build up to this year?
Yeah, I mean, we've had a lot of talk about the expectations and all the hype on us this year, and one thing we try to focus on is just to black it out, not listen to it too much, focus on be present in the moment. We play UNCG tomorrow. That's what we're focused on. Friday, we'll worry about who we play Friday, and Saturday and so on. So, just go on one game at a time, win that game, and then we'll move on to the next.
Okay. I know I want to talk most about you during this interview, but I do have to mention Rhett Lauder. How important of a starter is he to have for this staff in Wake Forest?
Yeah, I mean, having Rhett go out every Friday, we're pretty much expecting to kind of win. We know who we have on the mound. We know what we have in the lineup. And those two combined, I mean, it's really hard to beat us in that situation. So, I mean, he's one of the best pitchers in the country. It's so easy to play behind him in the field, especially as well. So it's great to have him going every Friday.
What about the rest of this lineup, Nick? Obviously, you've got some teammates that you've been with for a couple of years now that you've become more and more accustomed to hitting around them. What makes this Wake lineup so dangerous?
I just think how deep we are. I mean, you can have guys hitting in the 7, 8, 9 hole hitting homers. You can have guys in the leadoff spot hitting homers. You have Tommy Hawk who's getting on base almost every at bat. You have Brock who's probably got the most power in the country, and then every 5, 6, 7, they're all going to do their job. And I mean, it's probably the deepest team I've ever played on. And even the guys coming off the bench, we had three new starters Sunday morning at 8:30, and they all came up and woke up and showed up. So it's really easy to have when you have all those guys at one time.
Hey, Daron, have you ever heard of Valrico, Florida? Nick probably knows this. Valrico, Florida, you heard of it?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, so this is where Brock Wilken is from, Valrico, Florida. It's a little suburb of Tampa. I'm also from Valrico, Florida. I didn't know anybody else lived in Valrico, but he's representing well. That, like you said, he's got probably the most pop in the country. But back to you, Nick. So I just thought of something. When you're playing night games, I'm going to publicize you as Nick at night. When you hit bombs, Nick at night, which leads me into this. Do you have any NIL deals? And if not, can we help you get some?
Yeah, I mean, I have a few here and there. We're in season now. I'm just trying to focus on, playing baseball, winning some ball games, and we'll worry about that in the off season.
Okay, that's what I'm saying. We'll worry about it for you. I don't want any percentage. I'm just I need to help promote everybody.
Yeah, you can promote me for sure. Yeah.
Nice.
Nick at night is another good one.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me ask you this, Nick. If we're going with, wake and rake, Nick at night, do you have a preference playing in the morning or in the evening? Because I would imagine that 8:30 start on Sunday gave you some real 12U travel ball vibes.
Yeah, definitely would rather play at night for sure. Yeah. Being at the field at 6 a.m. is not fun after playing the day before as well. So I'll take night games for sure.
Yes. Oh, that's too early. So I see you're from Pennsylvania. Who's your favorite team and favorite player growing up?
Phillies, Bryce Harper.
Oh, that was easy.
Yeah, very easy. Yeah.
Well, I mean, he's definitely a good one to be following. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Is there specific things about your game, your swing, that you try to model after Bryce? I mean, I think we all have that growing up, right? If it's not imitation, it's trying to see what works and use it effectively in what makes you yourself and your own hitter too.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say so much about his swing, but just the fact, he kind of goes to all parts of the field. He can hit for power everywhere. He can hit the ball anywhere. And then just the way he battles and who he is and what he did at such a young age, kind of what I wanted to replicate in my game.
Nice.
Where were you? What were you doing when he hit the big home run that sent him to the World Series?
Yeah, I was at my house watching it. Yeah. Oh my gosh. I got chills right now thinking about it. That was awesome.
Do you like the powder blue uniforms?
Oh yeah, my favorite unis for sure.
Legit.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Nick, you played high school basketball, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you guys watch any of the All-Star festivities over the weekend, like the dunk contests or anything?
Nah. I don't really watch NBA basketball too much.
Yeah.
It's probably my least favorite sport to watch, I'd say.
Okay. But you liked to hoop back in your day.
Yeah, I love playing basketball. Yeah.
I know a lot of collegiate athletes were multi-sport guys in high school, and fancy themselves pretty good athletes. Who would you say on this Wake Forest baseball team would be the most likely to win a dunk contest? Like if you all competed, I know not everybody can throw down like that, but who is it?
Seth Keener.
Seth Keener. Okay.
Seth Keener. Yeah. Yeah,
and people say pitchers aren't athletes,
right?
Yeah. No, he can jump. He can jump at the gym for sure.
Do you guys ever play pickup? I mean, obviously, I've seen it in
not
action.
Really, no, I mean, we played a little bit. You get first week of we all got back to school. We played, but too many risks going on when you play pickup too much.
Man, you are so politically correct. I love it. That's a great answer. So, did you play hockey growing up?
No, I never did.
No. My son's getting into that. So everybody that's from up north, I'm asking that question.
Yeah, I mean, I used to go out on the ponds, freeze over, and play ice hockey with my brothers and stuff, but never.
Oh, so you can skate?
Yeah, I used to be able to. I don't know if I can skate too much anymore. I haven't done it in a long time.
Well, I'm 49 years old and I'm trying to learn to skate. So
yeah.
No, Gravy's got these all-terrain roller skates that he whipped out the other day. Those things are heavy duty.
Yeah. The wheels, they're all-terrain wheels. You can skate in the grass or on the concrete, and it's like monster truck tires. They're so awesome. Yeah, that's how I got to learn, because they don't go as fast as the regular wheels. The regular wheels are too slick. I can't handle it.
Nick, if you guys go into the ACC tournament as the #1 seed, I'll make sure Gravy is there with his roller skates and that he shags fly balls in them. How about that?
Awesome. That sounds
hey,
good.
man, if you guys let me, Nick, I'll do it. I'll do it for sure.
All right, Nick, aside from playing your next game, what's the thing you're most looking forward to about this season? Like I said, a lot of anticipation. I know you were glad to just get some games in the books and win all 4 of them.
Yeah, I mean, you want to say you're not looking into the future, but everyone knows what we could possibly do this year, obviously. And obviously that's in the back of our heads every single day. But, this team could be something special. We enjoy being around each other, so like every single day. So I'm excited for what's to come.
Yeah, you guys look like you just have so much fun on the field. I can't imagine what it's like in the clubhouse. So I know you say how good you guys could be, and the old cute cliches, one day at a time and all that stuff. Are you guys focused right now, not just the regular season, but winning the ACC championship, or is it we need to get to Omaha? That's what our main goal is.
Yeah, I mean, the goal of our team, we obviously think we can go to Omaha. We think we have a chance to compete for a national championship. But, ACC tournament comes first, so we want to be ACC championships, and then we'll worry about being national champions after that.
And we know you prioritize those things first, Nick. So if those things team-wise are a given, I'm going to ask you individually, what are some specific goals that you've set for this year?
I don't know if I, set goals for myself. I just try to baseball is a game where there's so much failure. If you try to set goals and set unbelievable goals, it's going to be so hard to meet. I mean, I had a great weekend. We'll try to stay hot and keep going in tomorrow. And then same thing this next weekend.
Okay. So I'm going to ask my editor, who is Daron, to get that exact quote out there on social media, because I think more players need to hear that, right? Nick, you're right on. I think, setting certain goals numerically, if you reach those, then what happens?
Yeah,
you reach your goal.
Chase, yeah.
Exactly, man. That's brilliant, dude. Yeah. And favorite player right now. I love that. I love it.
Well, I ask too, Nick, because I think it's human nature. Most people set those specific goals, but to go into it sort of with an open mind, and it stands to reason, like you can accomplish anything if that's the case, right?
Exactly. Yep.
Cool. All right, Nick. Heck of a start to your season. Congrats on your early success. Best of luck to you and the rest of the Demon Deacs. We're looking forward to watching a lot of Wake Forest baseball this year.
Thank you. Yep, we're excited. Thanks for having me.
And Nick, get ready, because all the Nick at Night, the Nicky Nukes, it's all coming when the ACC on this podcast and the shows, it's coming. So be ready.
All right, I'm ready. Thanks, guys.
All right, so we move on to Hall of Name. We close out the show every week. Danny, the closer, of course. He gives us a small look into his experiences as a college and professional pitcher. I pick a former teammate of Danny's, and he has to tell us the first story, interaction, or anecdote that comes to mind. And Danny, I've got a list of former teammates. I've got it pulled up on a document here. I have not chosen who I'm going to ask you about. So
and to clarify to the people watching, I don't know who you're going to say. I don't know who is on this document. So
I don't know who I'm going to say.
Perfect. This is all random.
All right, let's go with all right, we went King Griffey Jr. last week. So we started with, maybe the most obvious. I don't know how much of like some of the Reds teammates you've got a lot of experiences with. With the Mets, it was only the second half of 2005.
Four months of that season, yeah.
4 months, okay.
Yeah.
So we're working in a pretty limited window here, but I'm going to go with another kind of obvious one that is a big name, and I've got a couple to choose from here.
Yeah, there's 3 Hall of Famers from that team. I don't know which one you're going with.
Pedro Martinez was on that team that year, and I know anyone I ever speak to who played with Pedro, even if it was one time at an all-star game or what have you. Everybody's got a Pedro story, it sounds like.
Yeah. So the first thing that comes to mind, when I got released from the Reds that year and became a free agent, teams were calling, obviously my agents, they were calling my agents and trying to figure out what I wanted to do, what direction I was going. And then I had a lot of calls from unknown phone numbers that, of course, I didn't answer. Well, I end up signing with the Mets. I get there and I'm doing my first interview with the New York media outside the clubhouse. Pedro walks in and makes a big deal. Like, he's like, "My man, you finally coming here? I can't believe it. I'm so glad to have you here." Like, he was so pumped up. And I'm like, Pedro Martinez just told me that he was excited to have me on his team. And I'm like, dude, I sucked. I sucked with Cincinnati, and this guy's excited to have me on his team. So then come to find out, he tells me, he goes, "Why didn't you answer the phone?" I'm like, "What are you talking about?" He said, I called you to recruit you when you were a free agent." I'm like, "You did?" Like, I said, "Pedro Martinez called me?" He's like, "Yes, I called you. You don't answer." So obviously it's one of the unknown numbers. And I'm like, dude, what an idiot. Why didn't I answer the phone? If I would answer the phone, I would have been like starstruck. I would have been like, I cannot believe Pedro Martinez has my phone number and he's calling me. But this dude, he's such a good dude. He's so awesome, man. He's so funny. The longest fingers I've ever seen on a person. That's why he could manipulate the ball as well as he could. But as far as like a team guy, he tried to make everybody better. Even if he wasn't doing well, which that year with the Mets was kind of a struggle for him. He did okay, but he lost his velocity. So he wasn't the same Pedro, but he still wanted other people to get better. He still tried to have everybody be the best that they could be. And he even told the media one time walking out, like my locker was actually Keith Hernandez's old locker in Shea Stadium. So when you walk into the clubhouse and you turn left, it's that first locker right when you go in. So that was my locker that they gave me. So somebody leaving, they walk right by me. So it's like, I got to say bye to everybody. See you later. Bye. See you tomorrow. But, well, Pedro walks by and says to the media, "Next year, me and Danny Graves, we're going to throw 95 miles an hour again." And I'm like, man, that would be so awesome if I could, but probably not going to happen, but I hope you do. But like, he was such a motivator, man. He was so cool. He was such a good dude to be around.
I'm struck by him. First of all, I think he's one of the best baseball analysts there is in the work that he does now, media-wise, post-playing career.
Right.
I'm struck by, and I've heard him do some interviews talking about what made him want to get into covering baseball as opposed to playing it. I mean, you guys at the end of your playing careers have some options, right? I'm sure you probably had your brain picked about, becoming a coach or any number of things. I'm struck. Pedro, just any answer he ever gives along those lines, it's the most sincere. I just want to, I like being around the game. Like this game has given me everything. Yeah. So I want it to be a part of my life forever. Yeah. He just seems like a really genuine guy, and your story reflects that too.
Yeah, he absolutely is. And when he does these bits on MLB Network or whenever he does interviews, he's always showing people what he thinks would work for them. Like visually saying, "This is how I think you should try it." And like, he's always wanting to help. Like, it's amazing. It's amazing that he's that way. And love the guy to death. He's amazing.
Nice. That's good. That is the Hall of Names. So we've got a couple of actual Hall of Famers behind us as far as that's concerned. Maybe I'll throw you a more obscure one next week, just to sort of like proof of concept of this thing and make sure we're going to be able to keep doing it. The Hall of Famers give great stories, right?
Yeah.
But I don't know. You thought CJ last time. Maybe we'll dig deep for an old Miami teammate or something like that.
Yeah, we can do that. The stories may not be as exciting, but they'll be a little bit exciting because, I mean, we did some stuff in school that we probably shouldn't have.
Clearly.
Yeah.
You guys did some things. So there's some fun stuff to share, I'm sure. Thanks again to Nick Kurtz for coming on with us. We're going to try to have a guest every week in addition to what we ourselves have to say about the ACC baseball season. As a reminder, we're on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube at ACCBSBETC on each of those. Please rate, review, subscribe, whatever. You know all the stuff to do to help us be bigger and maybe be heard by more people. Spam your family and friends with this show, right? Like that's
why not?
If they like ACC baseball, if they like Danny Graves, maybe your mother or grandmother has a crush on him from his time as a major league player. It doesn't matter, right? A subscription's a subscription. We'll take it however we can get it, man.
That's right. We'll take it. And we'll be like having nicknames. We'll come up with all these nicknames for the players because we're here to promote, right? We're here to promote the players.
That's it. We love ACC baseball. We're trying to make it as seen and as heard as possible because we're in for a big year. It was a big opening weekend for the ACC, so we're looking forward to seeing what they do from here on out. So for Danny Graves, I'm Daron Vaught. We'll see you guys next week.